In 1986, 16 pregnant women read the same Dr. Seuss passage aloud every day through the last 6 weeks of pregnancy. Their babies were tested at 55 hours old, measured by how hard they sucked on a pressure-sensitive nipple. They preferred the passage that they'd heard from inside the womb, and it held even when a stranger read it. Not the mother's voice, the pattern. Now, the other end of life, 2020. A hospice in Vancouver. EEG on patients in their final hours. One of them 6 hours from death. Unresponsive. Reacting to nothing. Play a run of tones, break the pattern, and the brain still flags it. Same response as a healthy 20-year-old. 67 readings before birth, a response to a broken pattern 6 hours before death. Audio is the first channel to open and the last to close. Today, we fix that. Why a jingle keeps playing even after the media stops. And why the song everyone loves is usually why nobody remembers the brand. And why the smartest audio play in the market right now did not change a single note of the song. It changed the month. And my guest today, he spent his entire career on the side that most people never see. Today we have Mikey Burrows from Brand Music, and he's built some of the most iconic tracks and brand sounds in the Australian landscape. Mikey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
The science of advertising.
This is the science of audio. This is going to be a big show for several reasons. Audio is forgotten by many brands. It's usually the last thing that is picked up. But if you look at the evidence that's coming up from System 1, from Aerobird Bass, it typically dramatically over-indexes and is one of the most potent levers a brand has, especially if you're a challenger brand. Seasoned brands, tier 1 brands have done a great job of this forever, but the challenger brands typically miss. So I'm excited you have you on the show, Mikey. And today we're going to start with the rule of 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's an asset out of the US from Liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This has won awards for multiple years of being one of the greatest jingles or stings for years. Would you help us unpack this sound for us?
Yeah, Liberty. I was recently in the States, and it became one of those sounds that everywhere I was, from driving in an Uber to standing at a store when the radio was on, this sound started to come out, and I just wondered. I had no idea what it was, but within the space of an hour, when I was suddenly tuned into it, this liberty, liberty, liberty. Liberty. And we talk about 3. I think they actually have 4. And in some cases, I think it's even more. It's become an in-joke now because of the way they space out their jingle, that people have actually taken on singing even a 5th and a 6th and a 7th liberty for pure, just the joy of taking a brand and extending it. But repetition, repetition, repetition. And in this case, their biggest role, or the biggest aim they had, was about keeping things simple. The guy who created it in the States was a guy called Elias Audio, I think, or something like that. And he's really all about simplicity and about repetition. All the stuff you talk about. And for listeners who don't know, Jono is a firm advocate of the rule of 3. And I know from our work together, it's something you've always pushed and asked to be able to hear with a lot of the briefs we've been able to work on.
Well, it is. And I'm really passionate about memory. And how do you form memory? There's 2 different conversations. One is, how do you actually embed memory is your first challenge. The second is, how do you retrieve memory? So if we're just talking around your son and education system, you're cramming for an exam. I'm reading, I'm studying, and I'm talking to my head, reading the text. You go to an exam room, and sometimes you can go in there and it's like, whoa, I've read all this. I've read it like 6 times. Can't recall. Just because you're embedding doesn't mean you can actually retrieve. And this is one of the most powerful things with music, is the retrieval process. So just because it goes in, visually I'm familiar with it. So if I see it again, I'm familiar with it and I have a high propensity to trust it. But music, this is the one thing about music, is the retrieval piece. As soon as you've got that jingle or that bed and you start humming it, that is retrieval. That is what you want from a brand, is to retrieve those memories.
That's right. And Liberty was voted the number one jingle in all the Veritonic research that came out.
Yeah.
Was voted way above even nationwide, which has been around for a long time. So it's really proving to be something that is so simple. It's set a benchmark in terms of sonic creation, and we definitely have it on our pinboard as something that we try to emulate some of the takings from it with everything we do.
And this is why the rule of three you can't miss. You're never going to mistake that sting for another brand. Tango Energy is a client of ours.
Yeah.
We saw a huge opportunity for audio. They don't have huge budgets, but we want them to hit really hard.
Yeah.
We briefed you in with Tango.
Yeah.
And one of my rules I love is the rule of three when it comes to sonic. And it really came from, where are the best sounds or branded sonics? And that was really consistent in the research. So we have the rule of three. Tango, I'm not sure if you got Tango there, Henry. If you don't, we'll play it post this. But Tango, here's the Tango beat right now.
Tango, tango, tango energy.
So Tango, talk me through. I know the brief for us, you've got it on your board. If it's a brief from us, there's a rule of three.
Yeah, there's an undivided rule of knowing if it's a Jono conversation. Look, it actually makes the science side of it. It actually really makes sense. You think about it, when you can repeat something 3 times, you're going to have. When I ask someone's name, for example, I'm hopeless at remembering names, so I make an effort to repeat their name. Hi, my name's Jono. And if I'd forget that next time we meet, I might remember it, I might not. But if when I met you, just say, my name is Jono, my name is Jono, my name is Jono, I've got it. And I'll make an effort within that conversation to say, hey, Jono, do you want to do this or do that? So that's conscious, starting to use that idea of 3 times of something that I know it's going to stick. Maybe it's the same with frequency. Maybe there's some, research to show that, the magic number really is, at least to start getting some traction, of 3. I do believe that. And certainly with Tango, it was a real exercise in finding a way. You've got this great, you build the rhythm from the name. Tango, tango, and there's a shout, tango energy. So you're really kind of leaving the energy part for the last part of it, but really working out how we're going to get 3 in there without it becoming one, something that just does not make sense rhythmically. So you've got rhythms to play with. And you think about that, we're going in bars of 4 beats. Tango, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tango, tango, tango energy. So if it's fitting into 3 bars and less than 5 seconds, which is that's a dream run.
Well, it's exactly what you want. We've got several other examples later on the show, which are really cool. We got a Mace here.
Yeah.
There's lots of others in there that have just done it as a sting or a sonic. But the rule of 3 is definitely where I want to stay there. So in terms of Tango, how would you normally go through this process? How would you shape a sound or a signature, an audio signature for a brand? What's your normal process?
Something like Tango, you're firstly looking at what industry it's in. So I'm always looking, it's an industry that has to build trust quickly, and it has to, if it's a beauty brand or if it's something else, you're thinking straight away from the brand point of view, what is the emotion that will sit well with their listeners? Not just about trying to create something that's going to be anything. It's not just putting a name into music. You're really thinking about the brand first. It has to be that. So we look at it. We looked at the colors. The colors are quite bright. There's greens and reds, and it looks friendly. The side, it even had a little character. There's enough to play with there to kind of inspire you to kind of go, right, what is this brand? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What are the boundaries that it can be? We would have had a discussion about it, you and I. And I do remember you were sort of talking about playfulness and creating something that was positive and upbeat. And so you've got those variables. You then throw it into a pile. We write those down on a board. We'll sit there and we'll try and work out melodies or rhythms first. For clapping hands, exactly like we did. We'd clap our hands. We sit around like school children. There's a lot of falsetto that goes on. There's a lot of singing that happens in a group. And we then start to formulate, we're starting to get that tango can either be sung as tango or tango. You've got enough, consonation or, between the vowels, intonation. then you start to form a pattern, and especially when you know you've got to fit 3 in to a certain, the brief is from Undivided. It's got to have that 3 into it. So we're constantly trying to think, how can we do it? We can go at a fast BPM, tango, 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 or we can, then you're missing out the energy, and the energy feels labored to add at the end.
Yeah.
So then it would be like, okay, what if we drop the energy part because we know it's going to happen? We bring that in at the end, but we get 3 tango, tango, tango energy. Then it's about working out, okay, what's the character in this? The deep voice felt like it was right. The electro kind of music felt that it's kind of got enough to work across a wider demographic. And that's the jingle.
I love it. One of my filters I have is, yes, I had a brain tumor, but I think it's hereditary in terms of, like, I'll say a short-term memory loss in terms of people's names and everything else in between.
Yeah.
As soon as I hear a sonic from yourself or any other brand, if I can't recall it and retrieve it, or it's hard to retrieve, I don't like it. That's my first immediate read if it's going to got high odds of being successful. There's 2 things when it comes to the audio. One is the processing fluency of it. How easy is it to process? Is it hard? Does it feel good? Because really, at the end of the day, it's music. And music, you want to feel good listening to it. It's got to take you on a bit of a journey, whatever that looks like. Second is, with frequency, this should get better, but it should be good from day dot. But the real magic comes through the repetition. So repetition, when brands, Amy, they've been running that for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's the repetition that does the real heavy lift for you. So if you create one, you want to keep it for a long, long time. You don't want to be changing this signature every 12 months. Do you have a view on this?
Well, you were talking about the System 1 research, and part of what they were talking about as well was about don't keep changing your audio. Exactly what you're saying. You don't do that with your visual logo. It would be, suicide for a brand. Imagine something like Nike or Amy, or, people really remember with the Spotify change of the logo, even just for a fun moment, there was just so much hoo-ha about it a few weeks ago when they made it into a mirror ball. People are watching. Same with sounds. And, the ideal scenario they were talking about in the research was you build it, repeat it again, keep on using it. And there's a lot to, that's the dream scenario really for a brand, to hold on to those assets.
It really is. And just to link back to the rule of 3, it's one of the reasons I love it, because you're condensing that frequency into a spot, an asset. You don't need to risk it. So if you are a challenger brand, one spot works 3 times as hard and you don't miss on the brand. You don't guess. The one question I have for you, we get a lot of brands coming to us going, we want to create a sound for our tagline rather than their actual brand name. Do you have a view on that?
I do, because it's something it comes up a lot for us too. And taglines are so transient.
Yeah.
They can last for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they last for a long time. Lucky I'm with Amy is a stayer. So it's built into the mnemonic of it.
Yeah.
But something like, the big joke in our studio is there's often brands that have got some kind of tagline like satisfaction guaranteed or whatever. And it's like, I don't know if that's going to resonate. I don't know if it's going to stay, or, 3 for 3 or whatever the campaign line might be. I think it's a danger. I think it's better to build it as in a modular sense, so that the sonic logo element of the brand name, which isn't going to change, like the logo, stays consistent, but you build into the melody, into the mother sort of DNA of the melody, that tagline, so that you can remove it nicely after 12 months. And like, we haven't lost everything. We don't have to start again. It's important.
I am so with you. There is a hard no for anyone that wants to build a tagline sound if they don't have
I
a
agree.
cracking brand sonic.
Yeah.
Rule of 3. Let's go to Ream. The rule of 3.
It's there. It's right there. What's that? 1979, 1980? I mean, these guys were speaking our language.
The way the human brain interprets information as well does work in the rule of 3s. If you're looking at punchlines, gags, nursery rhymes, they're all typically a rule of 3. So rule of 3 for brand, remember it, recall it. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of the rule of three.
Me too. And something like that jingle, I mean, think about the emotion that still carries forward now. It can be sung by a choir. It can be sung by a single person. Install a ream, install a ream, install a ream. It's like it's telling you what to do as well. That's what I love about it too. It's giving you a call to action in the first 3 seconds. You've heard the brand 3 times, and it's also told you, oh yeah, I've got to install a ream. And I'm sure at various times when our hot water system is blown, it's the one name that comes to mind.
Totally.
Because it's just built into my mind. It's every exposure they've had has built another chunk of a layer in my brain that's telling me, okay, I'll just store that for later when it's time.
But to embed that memory costs money. To remind and refresh that memory, that is a small capital expenditure. It doesn't cost that much to remind and refresh. To get it in is the expensive part, which is where the tax to change it every time, you are burning capital everywhere.
And especially now, you think about how many platforms a sound can travel on and build consistency through brands. I'm totally blown away by the amount of brands that have a sound, a unique sound, and then you'd watch their socials or watch other mediums that they're on, and it doesn't even feature even as a nod to it.
But it won't be the big brands. The big brands have built an ecosystem where their marketers can't make those type of changes often.
Yeah.
They are so constrained. McDonald's, how often do they change?
Yeah. No.
Bunnings Warehouse, how often have they changed? They've been consistent forever because they know the value of it. It'll be the smaller, the mid-sized players that change things really regularly, and they never build that platform.
And there have been many brands that have come to us asking for a refresh of something, and I won't do it. I'll listen to it and turn away work. It's not commercially the best decisions, but I just won't do it because the brand's not ready to change it yet.
It's not. The really interesting thing that I've had conversations with, marketers want to love the sound. They want to feel cool or new or innovative, and I appreciate that. The real magic doesn't happen from that cool, impressive sound. Is it simple? Does it process? Is my brand anchored into it? Then it's the repetition.
Yeah. But that builds layers of an asset it's got something that grows on you. It's when a brand has an asset, a sound, a color, the things we talked about in the last episode. Exactly. And that builds reliability and trust. The reason McDonald's menu works is because you know what it's going to be each time. It might add a new flavor in every now and then as a campaign, but you want to just know wherever I go, in Rome, in Dubai, in Australia, that's the brand and that's what I'm buying into for the taste. And that's why their sound doesn't change. It's the same ethos. And so every new marketing manager that comes in and thinks they need to reinvent rather than just evolve, because it takes guts to just stay with something and grow it.
It's a harder decision.
It's hard. I have never been a marketing manager, so I don't know what that must feel like to go into a new organization and want to make your mark.
Yeah.
And I always wonder and try to put my shoes on of that person and wonder what it's like to turn up somewhere and say, right, I've got my chance now to make an imprint. And I'm always nervous because it's like, well, that means they're going to change the sound and we've done all this work and it's suddenly gone after a campaign. It's like, why would you spend that money on it and then not even take it into consideration that it's something that could build?
Well, let's change gears into music now.
Yeah.
Music is incredibly powerful. I'm keen to understand the power. There's a couple of tracks that I want to look at.
Yeah.
We have Cadbury, the famous Phil Collins, Gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
We have Qantas, I Still Call Australia Home. We have KFC, and I'm going to feature KFC quite heavily. I'm absolutely loving their Christmas in July.
Yeah.
It is knocked out of the park. It is some of the best assets I've seen, and it is a music play. They've grabbed a hold of, well, I'm going to say hijacking. They've hijacked Christmas in July. I want to sit here and talk around KFC for a little bit.
KFC are doing, they really are owning the moment, aren't they?
They are.
They're stepping up. I don't know what their budgets are like compared to someone like McDonald's, but they're certainly making every dollar work and cutting into places. Maybe with limited budgets, you are forced to have to think a little bit harder and push your way into places that don't seem as traditional and don't seem, that they've just somehow managed to find new ways to cut through using sound.
They have. So for those of you who don't know what KFC are doing, Christmas in July. I was in Brisbane a week or so ago. I saw a piece of outdoor on a bus. So the sheet music was "We Wish You a Zinger Burger." Christmas is here.
Love it.
Hit me. Hadn't seen anything like it visually. I started to sing "Wish You a Merry Christmas."
Yeah.
We wish you a Zinger Burger.
Mm.
Then I started to look at some other assets. And Henry, play this right now. This was the hero act from KFC.
What the? It's so debaucherous, isn't it? It's like, just watching them just eat these chicken pieces in this beautiful Christmas sort of stylings with all the autumn leaves falling. It's great.
There's three things strategically that are genius. The first, they're running this in July and they're owning Christmas in July. Yeah. No one else was.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas in July, it's quite a pattern interrupt. Why is Christmas here and you're promoting it? I thought it was an error on the bus to start with going, is this running from last Christmas?
What is Christmas in July?
Christmas in July is a UK piece where they want Christmas in July because it's winter. Is that right, Henry?
It's summer. Yeah, I just wondered. I've just always
it's summer over there, so it's Christmas in July.
Okay.
So it's usually
just another
UK.
chance to sell Hallmark cards or something.
But Christmas, usually barbecue chicken and chicken pre-Christmas is a meal that chicken sales go through the roof in December. It's an easy, it's convenient. And whether you're going to a Christmas lunch, you're buying a hot chook or something like that.
They have seized the moment.
So they have really seized the moment. The one thing I love, which we want to talk about, is the hijack. They've hijacked a Christmas song and the positive emotion around Christmas and anchoring their brand.
Yeah, for a category that is so in a very highly competitive category, they have managed to permeate using sound and owning it. I mean, they've got that. They have got they've got that Shorty Get Inspired track, which runs on their main retail side of things in Australia, and it's just going gangbusters. Everybody can sing it. When I rang you the other day, your staff was singing it behind you. It's a known track. So that's going on, and that's got a whole other franchise moment that they've got.
Well, let's keep these separate for now. So hijacking song, Christmas songs. Most people love Christmas songs. It makes them feel family. Yeah. It's a time of getting together. There's food. The imagery here we've got is winter, but it's all KFC, and they're embedding their brand into a really well-known, well-loved track.
Yeah.
Cadbury, Phil Collins, exactly the same thing. They've hijacked an existing memory, existing emotion, and they're anchoring their brand to it.
Yeah, something like the Cadbury moment was just using that exact song. I don't think anybody could go near that song again. It's kind of tainted with Phil Collins' story and, and also with this gorilla, that suddenly had that drum solo, which that drum solo is iconic. There's no other.
Do you know the backstory to that?
I know the story, but I don't know if it's true. I have myth busted that story, and apparently it's about him witnessing someone being thrown off a ship?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. What story have you got? Oh, the story of the ad or the song?
No, not the ad.
Okay.
So they came up with the idea of we want a gorilla. Let's park that one.
Yeah.
They came up with the idea they want to gorilla the drum beat.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do it. And they were really obsessive of making sure this was authentic. If they were going to produce this, they wanted to be world class. So the actor was actually I'll have to go, but it was either a professional drummer they got or someone that became across really authentic that it was real. It wasn't just a guy in a gorilla suit. It's like, this guy can drum.
Oh, yeah.
He's got it locked.
He would need to be able to do that because that solo is not your average solo. It's everybody waits for that solo in the song. So during that ad, and I would have been, I don't know how old I would have been, but quite young, I even knew by that stage, I wonder if they're going to do the solo. Because, I mean, the way the song builds just owns you, and they had painted everything purple from memory, so they owned a color, and you had it there. Now, whenever I hear that song, the same way when Cadbury also a few years later used the Beach Boys song, wouldn't it be nice? They own it. It's like lifting your leg up on the tree and owning that territory. They've got it. You can't kind of you go near it really. But the gorilla was just insane. It just showed me how one I'm sure it wasn't cheap to make, but it feels now thinking about it, you could have done it quite.
It wouldn't have cost that
No,
much.
you've got an actor.
The licing.
It's an idea and the music.
We were talking about System 1 before
Yeah.
and the power of audio.
Yeah.
Eremud Bass, their study was two things. There was memorable characters
Yep.
and there was branded sonics. They are the two things that consistently over-index. That's what Cadbury did. They created a character which was a gorilla. It was embedded to the track. Every time you hear that track, it lives rent-free in the audience's mind. I hear the track. I'm associated to Cadbury. Cadbury's anchored all the positive emotions from that track to their brand. Beautiful match. Sales skyrocketed off the back of this campaign. It's exactly what KFC are doing right now. They're stealing and
That's right.
hijacking Christmas.
Yeah, they're owning that moment. And, I used to be quite a traditionalist thinking that you had to have something distinctive always. It always had to be something that was created from a human mind and not borrowing. But, when a brand does it well, and KFC is one of those brands that do it well, Cadbury, etc., they really own it. And owning a sound and hijacking that sound, if I use your term, is really a skill. And if you get it right and you've got enough frequency to kind of back it up, you can have such success. I mean, they have success because they own
Huge
it.
success, and they understand their audience, and that's the humor that's sitting behind their assets, which is really.
And you think about it, John. I think about your childhood memories. I've got a vinyl record collection that I haven't stopped collecting since the 80s. I still buy vinyl records. I can pull out any vinyl record and it's like a diary.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you what I was doing, who I fell in love with, who I broke up with, who.
Why?
Well, because like smells, like the olfactory kind of system in us, we've got these inbuilt memories that stay with us and connect them to those powerful emotions and those senses. And music just happens to be one of those ones where it's a combination of, there's a reason why every breakup song made sense when you were going through it.
Yeah.
They were words and emotions and things that you went, how does he know what I'm thinking about? How does someone else have a song? It must be written for me. That's exactly what I'm going through. And I can listen to a same song, be a lot older, and apply it to a different thing that I'm going through about fatherhood or, something else. It's amazing how a song can travel and grow with you. Now, if you own that song as a brand and that song can grow with you, I think it can have wonderful repercussions in terms of your consumer choices.
It is. On Hijack, nostalgia, what we were talking about then, what you were going through as a 14-year-old, 17-year-old, a breakup, they're big moments, huge emotions that you're going through. Most people have a huge affinity to the music they were listening to when they were 13 to 17. They usually the songs that you really want to rewind the clock back to, and they make you feel young.
So the songs that are happening now for that demographic may well, from what you're saying, it's almost investing in a future audience for a brand.
It is 100%. That is exactly what it will be. Where these guys have won the trick, your Phil Collins, I Still Call Australia Home, Christmas carols. When I was growing up, if they were the songs that I were listening to or around that, even in my 20s, they make me feel deeply.
Wow.
But now I'm in my 40s, 50s. That's my segment that I'm going after. Deep connection to that music bed, anchor my brand, bang.
I do remember when we had a newborn and you're in the nappy aisle, the daunting nappy aisle. But the madness song of that, must be love, 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 just because of the ad with that. You don't think about these things until you're in the aisle and it comes and it creates that sort of dissonance of, what am I after? What am I looking for? And you suddenly gravitate towards the things you have trust in.
It is smell, audio, incredibly powerful, especially for deep emotion where it's formed. We were listening to Enya on the way to the hospital when the twins were being born.
They'll always be part of
As soon as I hear Enya now, it takes me right back to those moments.
Totally.
Keep them in.
I love that. And I love that we get the chance in this industry to create those moments. And whether it's hijacking a sound or whether it's creating a distinctive sound.
Well, there's two. And this is what I'm keen, building out the playbooks for people with audio, because people have playbooks for social, they have playbooks for other channels. There's not so many playbooks for audio. We don't talk about them.
the research from System 1, and I know Mark Ritson was a big part of it, they found that brands, that particularly if they've got distinctive sonic sound assets, they matter more than just generic music. That was some of their findings. Sonic logos, jingles, recognizable musical signatures, consistent voices, distinctive mnemonics. And the research showed that sonic devices were the strongest performing distinctive brand asset, scoring about 2 to 3 times brand fluency ahead of logos. Jingles also, it's so wonderful hearing the word jingle back in the world of marketing.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's come full circle. For a while there, we just weren't allowed to mention
It was
that
about
word.
15 years where it was a dirty word.
You know, it's just like it just became something where I'd say, I create jingles like Car City. And I love Car City with all respect to that. It's a wonderful jingle, but that's what people were putting it to. And the younger creatives were like, no, we use mnemonics with a silent M and sonic branding and logos. And they're all wonderful. And I call them whatever they are. They can be anything you want them to be. It's still all about a hook.
This is a really important topic. I have felt there's an aversion to creating brand sonics jingles for the past 15, 20 years. Why?
Well, because it was tied up with a feeling from the 70s and 80s. You know, we're new. We've moved on. We've got this whole new social world. It's all got to be crisp and clean and fast and the latest sounds, and anything that's singing your brand is trying too hard.
It is.
It was like wearing a balance top or a Jag top. When I was 15, all I wanted was to have balance and Jag and Benetton and all these labels. As you kind of moved into the 90s, it was like, oh, no, don't have logos. So I think the same thing happened with advertising. The culture moved away from feeling like it's better if we just borrow a sound because we can quickly, jump. I also understand that as our media changed from just 2 channels of radio and television, really, 70s, 80s, 90s, I dare say, and started to flip into digital where there's just so many more.
It is.
You had to find ways that, traditional sounds just couldn't quite work.
Yeah.
And a jingle sounded too forced.
Yeah.
It felt like you were trying too hard, whereas it's come full circle now. And I still don't necessarily believe that the full sung thing is necessarily the answer. I still believe in, and I'm a bit old school in this form, but it's proving to be that this is working. Sing me the brand. Tell me the offer. Just remind me and sing me the brand again. Give me the first 5, the last 5 seconds. The rest, push what you can to try and have people to remember something. But the main parts are, how am I going to, in less than 30 seconds, retain attention enough to capture someone to remember some kind of brand that by the time they do need their vacuum cleaner, they're going to think Godfrey's. And by the time they do need their hot water, they're going to think Ream.
It's so interesting because the young generation comes through. They don't want to follow their parents' footsteps. It feels old daggy, and jingle was nearly an old daggy world. Whereas humans don't change. We don't change much. The way we wired, the way we think, the way we process information does not change. That is the critical piece. Just because you don't want to do what others have done doesn't mean it is incorrect. Now, medium has changed. The interesting thing with KFC, they have 2 assets. Henry, play the other one now, which is more their video asset.
Shorty get inspired. How about that? How about that? How about that this time?
Love it. Had no idea who this artist was until I looked it up, and he's incredible. And, these kind of moments can have incredible things, incredible opportunities for the artist that owns a song. They go on and people want to hear that song. It's their moment. But for a brand, I love that some music supervisor somewhere had found a song that wasn't necessarily in the top part of popular culture, because I listen to as much new music as I can, and I had never even heard that. Yeah. So someone's switched on, and again, they found something with a hook. I didn't even know what the words were saying. I didn't even know if it was in English, to be honest. When it first came on, I thought it was some very cool kind of track from London or something like that. But
it's an Aussie artist.
It's an Aussie artist. Yeah. Genesis, I can't pronounce the second name, Onasawu or Anawu or something. Amazing guy. And I went back and
Genesis
Owusu, amazing guy who has created, he's an amazing artist in his own right. But yeah, this song, they've to use the word hijack again, they've hijacked popular
the song.
culture.
This is the Jeep.
I will never not think of KFC when I hear that track again.
Going to playbooks. Rule of 3. Hijacking songs.
Yeah.
This is in the playbook. KFC, they have done all of this plus some. They're hijacking songs right now. They've hijacked Christmas. If you go to their social feed, everyone goes, or there's a lot of people would argue, audio is much harder in the world of social.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a look at KFC, what they are doing and how they are doing the 21 days of Christmas, the countdown. There's a new song every day that is social first, and it is genius. All really different.
Emotion predicts long-term profit. That's what the research is talking about too. Yeah, you know, exactly what you're saying. It's capturing an emotion, capturing a vibe, and that will perform better all the time.
It will. And music and emotion are so closely interconnected. If you were to put a horror film on, the music is what does the heavy lift. If you watch a horror film with no sound, the horror disappears really quickly.
Imagine Jaws with a Benny Hill soundtrack.
It's so interesting. Even when I talk with Raven around audio and we shoot content, the one thing I'm really obsessive on is the audio good? It is ears first, visual second. That is how you tell. What's the music? Because that is the emotion that comes through voice. It's the emotion that comes through music, where it's usually an afterthought for most individuals, except KFC.
Yeah, I feel like their campaigns have been led by audio.
That's what I mean. That's why I love this.
And often, like you're saying, it's an afterthought, and it's like we've shot the thing. I mean, I can't believe brands sometimes will shoot a commercial and then we'll get a call at the end of it to try and retrofit a period of time. It's like, man, that's really hard.
You think of emotion, right? Emotion's number one trait, or it's going to be led by music first. That is what does the heavy lift of emotion. We're talking about horror films.
I talk about the other side of horror. If you put someone hugging at an airport or in a love scene with music, I'm in tears.
Totally.
Can't stop.
Whereas the process for creatives, let's create a script first. Music isn't even a conversation. Then we'll go casting, and the music is the afterthought and the bed that sits there. It's such an important conversation. And all I'm trying to do right now with yourself is challenge people the opportunity of audio. The science states this is one of the most important things you can do for a brand, from memory encoding and retrieval. Don't have it as an afterthought.
Well, just talking about emotion, just some of the headlines from the System 1 audio research. Adding audio roughly doubles the profit effect of emotional campaigns. The emotional response becomes more memorable because sound is processed extremely quickly. Exactly what you were saying before. Sound is just one of those things you feel it through your body before you even know what it is. It can make your hair stand up. It can create a visceral response. And across all 14 effectiveness measures that they did, campaigns with audio averaged around a 22% improvement over those without audio. So they're big figures, and they're big. It's such a dynamic push and a real moment for us too in our industry. I feel like when Mark Ritson said, "Get a fucking jingle," it resonated with me. You know, he literally told the audience at Cannes and the whole marketing world, "Get a jingle." And when I heard those words, I nearly fell out of my chair. It's like, what? This is 2026, and you're finally catching up that the word jingle is not a swear word. It's a real asset. And it's something that if you build it now, in 10 years, you're going to reap the benefits. And we're going to be saying, how lucky did we invest in sound and create something like we did with our logo? And yes, it might sound older in 10 years, or you might feel like it, a new marketing manager might feel like, oh, that's sounding like it was 10 years ago, but that's okay, because the people that heard it 10 years ago will still feel comfortable with it in 10 years.
I love talking around the boardroom brain. System 1, System 2. Let's park System 1, the business for now. System 1 is your subconscious processing, which music is so naturally wired to do. Emotion, more so memory. We talk theta rhythm. Theta rhythm is how our body processes information. Theta talks directly to our hippocampus, where memory is formed. So it's like dominoes. When you're talking dominoes stacked together, as soon as you start to hear music, you push one domino over. And the human brain is like an advanced prediction machine. So as soon as we hear that one domino, we know the next few dominoes. We start humming, singing, the melody. So all you need to do is push one domino and you've got this beautiful cascade of memory that happens.
Yeah.
You can't do that with print. Visual you can recognize, but it's hard to retrieve those memories on the spot.
Yeah.
Music, it's this beautiful domino sequence.
And there's two parts to that. One is the BPM, the beats per minute, and the second part is what we like to call melody ascension. BPM communicates personality. You can look at a brand, and you're talking about how we sat with Tango and worked out the rhythm. That gave us a BPM by looking at the words and how the name actually created the rhythm that ended up creating the BPM for the track. 70 to 90 BPM, calm, trustworthy, premium. 90 to 110 BPM, confident, approachable, every day. 120 to 140, which is the sweet spot most of us play in, everyday, energetic, youthful, exciting.
Yeah.
140 plus, which starts to, head into zone 4 cardio, is urgency, action, high intensity. So you can see this stuff really, when you apply it to brands, you really can start to work out how you're going to approach it. You don't want to be standing, and there is research that was done a few years ago that showed the BPM that works when you're sitting in the plane. I mean, how calm is that music on when it's there? You don't want anything over, I'm guessing it's not going to be over 90 BPM, because then you're starting to get
music.
Well, it's like elevator music that makes you feel like it's starting. It's calm, it's trustworthy. It's going to set you on the right zone to going into there. Nothing's going to happen. Everyone's still smiling. Seatbelts are going on. Everything's looking normal. That makes a big effect, for me traveling as a nervous traveler. I listen to the music and it actually sets my heart. My heart actually attunes itself to that rhythm. When I'm standing in a bank, the same thing. I'm getting frustrated. I need things to be calm.
Yeah.
But in a retail environment, when they need to move people through, they'll find rhythms that are more in the sort of the 120 to 140, especially in shops like Supre and, the youthful kind of demographic. They're moving kids through who are bouncing around, grabbing the top, moving
Well, they want
through.
them to feel excited.
Yeah, they want them to feel excited.
Yeah.
Supermarkets are an incredible thing. The radio in Coles is one of my favorite stations ever. And in fact, I search it out. The Chemist Warehouse and the Coles radio, I listen to them outside of actually shopping.
Yeah.
Because they're really they seem to suit me and play all the music that I love.
Yeah.
As I'm buying my tuna.
Music and emotion. You can elicit emotion with music, and based on BPM is your heart. Go back to horror.
Yeah.
Think of the track of a horror. There's long pauses. There's silence. There's tension that's building. There's long pauses. I'll tend to hold my breath.
Yeah. You're waiting. The anticipation can be built through a high-strung violin that you just know automatically you're
building your anxiety
happening
through that.
Yeah.
Same slow, calm meditation music.
And the BPM influences how we then deliver the vocals.
Yeah.
So each thing is, like you're saying, a puzzle and a domino. When we're writing these things, we're relying on the science of the music and the sound to actually dictate where we go with the next part of creating it. And that leads me on to the ascending melodies. We were talking about the two variables in the fader rhythm too. Ascending melodies, it's called melodic contour. And it's an idea that whether a melody rises or falls affects both emotion and memorability. So a rising melody, it suggests optimism, achievement, possibility, forward movement. And I've found in the last 5 years, there was a period before that where it was kind of cool to be melancholy. You heard a lot of the sort of tracks were sort of ukulele and an indie girl sort of singing. And everybody wanted that. I think we did hundreds of those kind of sounding things where it just don't play it up, don't play it down, just keep it like it's an indie kind of Dumb Ways to Die kind of feel. It was that kind of era. Everyone wanted the sort of melancholy girl singing. Now, last 5 years or so, it's really been about this ascension of melody. Get it, make people feel something towards, a simple rising contour. It's easy for our brains. And, we can recognize those kind of melodies. We can encode them a lot quicker because they follow where we're going.
Yeah. Can we just play Sunrise? So Sunrise have hijacked an ad. This is the last example of hijacking we've got.
Yep.
But I want to share this, talking around a track that was played. How long ago was that now?
I mean, you're talking about my blue light disco days.
Yeah.
With Vanilla Ice.
90s?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going 90s. This is really targeting people now in their 40s, 50s, potentially 60s.
Totally. Yep.
And they're making them feel young again. They've really hijacked that.
Yeah.
Yo, R-I-C-E. Let's cook it. Rice, baby. All right, stop. Grab a plate and listen. Rice is back with a whole new dimension. Rice, baby.
I mean, yeah, I'm getting shudders of the girls that didn't want to, take my advances for dancing at the blue light disco. But it's interesting. I think that my kids wouldn't know the original song.
No.
So this would just be a new song. The way it's been produced and created is very contemporary. But you're right, it's working on two levels. It's working for my age group.
It's nostalgia and also
and it's also creating the visuals they've got are really fun for this. So they're really loud and obnoxious and bold. And what a great way to put the word rice. I mean, there is a danger potentially. I was thinking that you don't get a brand name. So it sort of does the work for every rice brand. So visually it's working.
It's one of the challenges when you are hijacking. Same with KFC. If I don't have the large budgets that I can absolutely saturate, because KFC aren't overtly hijacking. It's quite subtle, but it's through frequency they're building this association. If you don't have huge budgets and it's quite subtle, rice, baby, joke easily missed. I do believe sunrise is embedded in there, but it's quite subtle. It's not overt.
I don't get that.
Whereas compared to the overt nature we were talking around at the front of the show, where we got liberty.
Yeah. Oh, you can't go near it.
You can't go near it. And they're different playbooks. Henry, can we play eBay? I want to share eBay and I want to unpack eBay.
Listen, eBay's free to sell for jacket sellers, racket sellers, brand new still in package sellers, cream sellers, chrome sellers, things for tiny home sellers. It's free to sell for.
It's a guitar.
Well, all right. Khaki sellers, and khaki-colored khaki sellers, solar sellers, sailor sellers. It's even free for sellers.
It's now free to sell on eBay.
Fantastic.
Unpack it for us, Mikey.
What we've got here is a song that could sit on its own. It's really easy to listen to the stories. It's fun. There's images in there, built in there, so I don't need to see the visuals. The visuals made it really exciting. It could work across socials and really work well for them. But, this was put out by Sonar Music. I remember when it came out not long ago, it just made me feel good about the brand. eBay's a hard brand with so many other, ways of buying things now, from Temu to Amazon to, it just became cluttered. eBay was at one point everything.
Yeah.
So for them to be able to find something new to get my attention without feeling like, oh, there's just old technology that's going to have to bid and wait and whatever it is. This is pushing a whole new, just a younger feel that's using music and a country song to kind of convey. It's kind of an I've been everywhere, man. I've been so you really get a chance to build back into a chorus and into a
It is. I have no idea how many times Sellers was mentioned in that spot. I will have to go 15, but all I'm linking is Sellers and eBay.
Right.
It's like nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
I remember reading a quote from Blink-182, Tom DeLonge, in terms of how they used to write music.
Right.
And their whole mandate was nursery rhymes on steroids. Let's make them really simple, really easy. And I'll go back to my memory challenges. But the thing with Blink is when they do have a song and you start singing a couple of words, they're so predictable and so easy. I don't have to think. It just comes so naturally because it's so predictable. Same with that. Sellers. It's easy. It feels good. It flows.
Yeah, you don't get bored. I don't know how long that was. I dare say it was longer than 30 seconds. It could have been. But it's sung the whole way through. And you're just sort of, it's okay. It could sit on radio and just feel like it's a song. You wouldn't sort of want to switch it off. It's not yelling anything at you. It's nursery rhymes. The reason we teach, we learn the ABC via music. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is because it's just easy to remember. Once you've got a melody, you can rope learn it. It can.
It's the domino effect.
Yeah, it's a domino effect again. And it's something that you can turn up anywhere in the world and sing certain melodies like a birthday melody or a dun, 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 and you know immediately what we're talking about. And we don't share the same language, but we can communicate what it is through music.
Through music. So the opportunity there is to create your own, which is what eBay have done.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at a couple of stings, sonics, jingles, sounds.
Yep.
I'm going to rattle off a few lists and then, Henry, let's look at them. The list is really long. Legacy brands, big brands have done this. They beat the drum year in, year out. Lucky.
No, with Amy.
There you go. Woolworths, the fresh food people.
Woolworths, the fresh food people. Yeah, it's
Bunnings Warehouse, Chemist Warehouse, one of yours. Why pay more?
You know, that was an amazing one to get to work on because there's a few things built into that. There's an important part in that, which is woohoo, which features on the Science of Advertising theme as well, cleverly put there. But it's an important one that comes from an old Rolling Stones kind of idea of jumping jack flash and woohoo.
Yeah, right.
Those things cut through. And this felt like an important opportunity for that brand anyway when we were creating it. It's just retail, but it's also about the celebration of just all the wonderful things about feeling healthy and getting on with life. That was an important part of it. We also built one of the first kind of sonic devices of a sort of a till or a cash register of that savings. So it kind of instilled that sense of why pay cha-ching more. That was a really important part of it. And they're all inbuilt in there in a modular sense that can be taken out or put in. But we were really thinking about that stuff way back then.
Nice. Well, it's an iconic Australian jingle. So congrats on building that one. Interesting you were saying getting attention. When I first started in radio, there were a couple of ads that I thought had huge spans. One of them was National Tiles, Frank Walker. At that time, they were large, but it was nowhere near as large as I thought.
No.
It was only because every ad had hello, Frank Walker, National Tiles, which they're still using to this day, and you can argue if it should have changed or not.
Yep.
But the interesting thing about that is I thought their spend was 5, if not 6 or 7x what it was, because it felt like I heard them everywhere. I didn't. It was just because that was the same repetitive nature. It was consistent. It was predictable.
It coded your mind to think, well, these guys, I know it. I know that brand. When someone mentions Frank Walker, you can just say hello.
Hello.
There was a brand when I was growing up called Sound Air. And in our what I've found out to be, it's only just one local store in Caulfield. But when I was a kid, and now within the music industry, everybody puts their hand on one ear because in the commercial, the woman said, Sound Air. Sounds good to me. And it became a massive thing that you can travel anywhere. Everyone thinks it was this big brand selling hi-fi. It's just one little store.
Yeah, right.
But the power of music and the way that they used it just had that compounding effect that made things like Frank Walker.
But Frank Walker isn't music.
No.
It's just words.
But it's still, that's just as important. Owning a particular sound in any way you can.
Which I'd go the hello is the sound, and it's so different to the environment.
It is.
That is something to consider when you're shaping an asset. Yep. Is this different to the environment? Yep. Going with trends is interesting, but you become the sea of sameness. Frank Walker was so different to everything else and still is.
I'd say the Drain Man is on par with that.
The Drain Man, exactly the same. Grout Guys.
Grout Guys. They got a great jingle too, which my kids sing all the time. And
but so different. It's not a catchy song. This is the challenge what we're talking about. Do I love it?
Yeah.
No, but it stands out and you can recall it.
Yeah.
That is the power.
I can't think of another tile brand that when it comes time to buy tiles, where I would think to go at least first in my sort of set of places to go and visit.
I totally agree with you. Then there's more subtle. We've got Apple. You start up an Apple machine. Here's the sound here.
Yeah. And that sound, there's a great podcast called 20,000 Hertz, and they break that sound down. And I thought it was just, it's just sort of some kind of keyboard sound, but it's actually a really well thought out logo that has layers and layers and layers and many versions before it was accepted. And it's a sound that doesn't sound like anything else other than an Apple starting and closing.
It's distinctive. It's iconic. And you having a feeling when you hear that sound.
Yeah.
Intel.
Yep. Again, there's something like 50 layers of sound in that particular sting.
Yeah.
You think it's just this quick thing, but all these brands that sound so simple have actually had a lot of thought put into them.
But it's the same. If you were to go Apple, Intel designing a logo, there's a huge amount of effort, time, and resource that goes into it. Similar with audio. It's the same process.
You know, like I think I've said to you many times, sometimes these ideas come instantly and you just get a feeling straight away. Sometimes you can be sitting for weeks pulling your hair out, wondering why this brand isn't talking to you and why the sound just hasn't not come to life. And it's a science of how it happens in your own mind. I don't know. It's mystery. It's part magic, part science, part art.
And then amaze him. I love amaze him. Henry, let's go amaze him.
Are you paying too much for your phone plan? Get big network coverage without the big cost with AmazeSim. Right now, get a massive 75 gigs of data for just $12 for your first renewal.
AmazeSim!
It's like a superhero. This thing, when it came on air, was done by Rumble Studios, and it just is it's so powerful to me. And yet I sometimes wonder if I was just to present this as a first piece back to a client, they go, well, why are we justifying it's just a guy just singing in falsetto in a bathroom somewhere? Why are we going to have to pay money for this? But the thought that would go into that and the ability to match the look and feel of that brand, which is a real challenger brand and a young brand,
Totally.
like the AHM stuff we talked about, that these guys own a color and this sound that just feels like it's got similar feelings to the AHM thing in the sense of it's just a very simple thing at the end, but so powerful. One voice, and yet it's moving up. It's an ascension melody.
It very much is. Henry, can we play the whole clip on video for High Pages?
The science. The science of advertising.
Magnets? What is this, the 90s?
Well, how else do you grow a tradie business?
This century? High Pages.
Say more, talking mailbox.
There's a new job lead every 25 seconds. Plus, job management tools in an easy-to-use app. Even your nan could do it.
But she can't even use a remote.
Exactly. It's the #1 place to grow your tradie business.
You're not just a pretty face.
You flirt. Start with High Pages.
Yeah, I feel like I shut my eyes just again at the end just to make sure it was happening, but felt like I was watching some kind of Aussie TV show that has got a franchise to it. It's kind of Foot Rot Flats or something like that.
Yeah.
There's just a feeling like they've gone down that direction of a character that talks, and the jingle at the end brings in the characters from the actual ad.
Yeah.
So it sort of feels trustworthy. It's gone away from a tradie kind of, point of view for that brand, because we just need to, as consumers, know that, these guys are the place to go to get some quotes.
The sound brings it all to life. The ad itself is pretty flat. It's not going to do a huge amount from my perspective, but the tag at the end, the audio, is what brings it all together, and that is the hero of this asset.
And what brings it again? Ascension melody. Hallelujah. Start with High Pages.
Yeah, huge congrats to the team at High Pages. Like, again, that's a great asset, something you can own. Hopefully it's around for a long time to come.
I hope new marketing managers, to you all watching, if you get the High Pages brand, stick with it.
One last one. Let's look at Allen's.
Focus slipping, attention dipping, getting no vibes from these books we're hitting. But yo, I got a tasty distraction, bringing us that study satisfaction. I bring the lollies. I bring the Allen study buddy lollies. Bring the fun.
Talk to me, Mikey.
They certainly bring the fun. This is a piece out of Massive Music. And it really is fun. I mean, that's a hard category. You got these new challenger brands like Fun Day. If you're watching, we'd love to do your work. We have got
subtle.
Yeah. I love Fun Days. But Allen's, it's a category that was around as a kid. That's the only lollies really that we had, the party mix, which is still a big favorite of mine. But they had a challenge to kind of reinvent themselves and appear to my kids.
Yeah.
How are they going to stand out? They've been sitting on that shelf owning that color for a long time. This is really bold. It's that kind of, it sounds contemporary. I don't know how it makes me feel necessarily. I don't think it's aimed at me. I think it's really trying to push the brand into a new way. And I think it does it really well. It does bring the fun. Their visuals that go with it, all the stuff, it's really loud and vivacious, and it's all about bringing the fun. And I think they do it really well. And they've done it in a way that's, again, not necessarily mentioning the word Allen's, but it works.
I don't think they've got huge budgets, but they do need to be fresh. Visually, with the audio, it works because the visuals for the brand are anchored to the audio. if you were to hear the audio, you would miss this was an Allen's ad completely.
Yeah.
That's the difference between others where the brand is embedded to the music. The favorite part of that track is I bring the lollies. You got the music and then it drops, it changes key, and then it goes into.
Yeah. And it's interesting just thinking then that I think it takes guts to the brief would have been, how do we create this brand into new music? It takes guts to kind of start to, there'd be two camps. One camp that would go, no, go all out, do the liberty, ream thing all the way.
Yeah.
Just push our brand. We've got one chance in 30 seconds to do that. Let's just do it. It's going to be daggy, if you want to call it, having some kind of jingle anyway. Let's just put our brand name in there and own it. Others would be like, no, we still sort of have to be cool. I imagine there'd be two camps on the marketing side. And this one felt like, if we start saying Allen's too much, people are going to think it's a jingle and it's sort of trying too hard. But I think once you're in that zone of that hyper-real theatre, I think go for it.
Totally. Campaign, legacy.
Yeah, that's it.
Something I own, perpetuity, something that is a moment in time.
Yeah, you're right.
That is very much a moment in time. So really different briefs. Mikey Burrows, thank you for your time, energy, and perspective on audio. Love your insight. Love your work.
Thank you.
And till next time, this is the Science of Advertising show, and I am Jonathan Rolley.
Thanks for having me.
The science of advertising.